Dyslexic Genius here. I'm back on Uncle Bubba Vic 10 that's been totally destroyed. And I'm going to be upfront. This is probably the worst Victor I've ever worked on. That's been just trashed hard. But everything is savable and fixable. You know, I've had a couple of Edisons and Columbias like this over our career. But you can see now that after de-rusting, we have no rust on here. This all looks good. On restorations, I clean everything out. They had plier marks on this screw, and then clean all this up so it looks nice when you put it back together. Also, it had a broken governor spring. And when you have a governor spring, it breaks. You want to change all 3 or 4 governor springs. That's just a safeguard on this. You know, you get a brand new one from the phonoshop.com if you need those. And now let's go look at the spring barrel, the shaft on the spring barrel, and the problems that occurred with that. When I was taking the phonograph apart, the spring barrels, and getting the spring barrel shaft out, they had put this where this nipple is supposed to look like. I've machined this out. I made this one. But what happens is you have this shaft here, and then the nipples here, and it goes through. So they had drilled this out and literally beat this in place. But if you look at it, we don't have much room on each side of the main shaft, because if you start to drill out a little bit bigger to fix it, you can rip out on the side of the shaft, and then the shaft is ruined and nothing to work. And that took a lot of work, but I machined I drilled this out, step drilled it out, and got it right to where I wanted it, and I press fitted it in. I drilled this 3/32 because I wanted the pin to the new nipple to be 3/32 when it went in. So this is what the original nipple looked like, and this is the nipple Uncle Bubba had in. They tried really hard, but you know, and it was also missing the pin here when I took it apart. And this pin we had to make, you put this in, and then it lines up with the winding crank ratchet and the gear, and it recesses inside this. It looks like there's not, but there's a step in here. They machined in this way with a cutter, then they machined a little step. So when you put them together like this, you have to line up this to get down in here, so it'll be popped on. And when I took it apart,
how will you get that on?
What I do is I'll show you later. I put a socket on here that's bigger than the ratchet, and you just put the socket on and give it a pop, line everything up. But what happened when I took this apart was I started noticing things that were wrong with it. Right here, you can see where they've ground in here. There's a flat area. This is supposed to be round, not ground down like that. It should look on the other side like this. Also, I don't know what they did, but the gear is supposed to press on, and it didn't. And really, a fix on those is I just take a center punch, and I punch all the way around, which will bring, every time you punch it, you're bringing it up about 1/1000th of an inch, you know, 0.001. So then it'll pop on, because this has to be tight. Has to be tight and tight with the pin to make it run. When you take them apart, I use a windshield wiper puller. This just pops in here like that, boom, and it pulls the gear right off when you need to. And that's what it should be. It should be a little tough to get off. You know, this is a lot of fun. I know sometimes it gets expensive on restoring phonographs, you know, when you get into machine work and springs and everything else. But everything is savable, you know, and this was a family piece. And I just want to point out that everything can be fixed on phonograph. It takes time and sometimes a lot of effort, and that's my tip for the day.